Greetings citizens of the world. A new Security Council (SC) report circulating in the Kremlin today says that the European Union (EU) was shocked and stunned yesterday when the U.S. Senate finally revealed that the real truth behind the Russia hysteria meme sweeping America was entirely due to giant United States energy companies seeking to destroy Europe's existing energy supplies from Russia in order to capture this multi-billion business for themselves in violation of all international laws. According to this report, in a brazen move labeled by both Germany and Austria as unacceptable, the U.S. Senate passed by a vote of 98 to what they called a Russian sanction bill that they spuriously claimed was in reaction to Russia's never-proven interference of the 2016 U.S. presidential election, but whose real and true purpose violates international law, affects European companies and has the real aim of benefiting the U.S. oil and gas sector, Berlin and Vienna said in an angry joint statement. Having nothing whatsoever to do with Russia's supposed intervention in the U.S. election, this report continues, this U.S. Senate Russian sanction bill is, instead, nothing more than an instrument of economic warfare designed to destroy the European Union's existing energy security with Russia in order to supplant it with those of American gas companies, and to which Germany and Austria, speaking for the entire EU, slammed by stating, English. Europe's energy supply is a matter for Europe, and not the United States of America. We cannot accept threatening European companies that contribute to the development of the European energy supply system, with extraterritorial sanctions that violate the international law. Sanctions as a political instrument should not be linked to economic interests that threaten German, Austrian and other European enterprises, which take part in the gas supply projects such as the Nord Stream 2 together with Russia or finance them, with penalties on the U.S. market would add an absolutely new and highly negative aspect in relations between the U.S. and Europe. The statement went on to say that Washington's intention to impose new sanctions against Russia is guided not by some political or humanitarian reasons but rather by economic interest. This issue is all about the sales of the U.S. condensed gas to Europe, and pressing the Russian energy supply companies from the European market. The actual goal of such sanctions is to provide jobs for the U.S. gas and oil industry. Russia's trade representative in the United States, Alexander Stadnik, this report says, further stated that these U.S. Senate sanctions create obstacles for Russian, Iranian, Qatar, and other energy companies, while setting conditions for greater access to foreign markets for U.S. companies, and who added, this has become a blatant push for its, U.S., oil and gas industry with the use of non-market instruments and prohibited methods. Important to note about this issue, this report explains, is that due to what is called hydraulic fracturing, the United States has overwhelmed its domestic capacity to store the natural gas it's now producing, and in order to sell what they are overproducing, they have begun a process to destroy Russia's long-standing international agreements with the EU that supplies them with cheap energy supplies. With the European Union receiving 34% of its natural gas supplies from Russia via pipelines, this report details, the American scheme, as evidenced by these U.S. Senate sanctions, is to substitute cheap Russian natural gas with the more highly expensive liquefied natural gas, LNG, that is processed in the United States and then shipped via large tanker vessels to the European market. The only American company currently creating LNG for the European market, this report says, is the Houston, Texas, energy giant Cheniere Energy, who aside from flooding the coffers of U.S. lawmakers with bribes, called donations, Link, last week completed the first shipment to Europe of liquefied natural gas in American history. With Cheniere Energy being the only company currently operating an LNG export terminal in the contiguous United States, this report explains, the U.S. Federal Energy Regulatory Commission is now reporting that about half a dozen other LNG export terminals, which are big, billion-dollar operations, are under construction too, with Professor Eric Smith, the Associate Director of Tulane University's Energy Institute, stating they are needed because we have pretty well saturated the domestic market with natural gas. Though some Kremlin experts believe that the U.S. House of Representatives will never pass this U.S. Senate Russian sanction bill, this report grimly states, President Putin has, nevertheless, ordered a massive drill of all Federation nuclear missile forces, with his stating that prior to his allowing the Americans to implement this law, he will label it what it actually is, an act of war. And as always too, this report concludes, the American people are being kept from knowing these facts of war by their mainstream propaganda media, who instead of telling these people the truth about anything, continue their spreading of fake news, and as exampled by CNN falsely reporting that President Trump didn't visit U.S. Congressman Steve Scalise in the hospital where he lies gravely wounded from the George Soros Republican massacre birthday gift to Trump, and, most horribly, the pro-communist Washington Post reporter Malcolm Harris shockingly tweeting that he hoped Congressman Scalise would die. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.